Behind every brand, every movement, every leader, every transformation, there's a story. And intertwined in these stories is a message. And this podcast is for you, the next gen leader, coach, entrepreneur, and influencer. My name is Travis Brady, and I'm a branding mentor and sales story strategist. I hope you see me more of a guide than a host as I share the stories behind the brands, so you can take these stories, experiences, principles, and teachings and use them to share your story with the world. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the story behind the brand. If you're listening to this podcast, you have a thirst for learning how to be a better storyteller, learning how to share your experiences on a level to influence others. And so with every episode, either myself or a special guest come on here sharing their experiences. And I hope you listen to their experiences and their stories, and maybe it inspires something about your experience or your story that helps you share it in a different way and influence others through social media, through your sales, through your team. So I'm super excited. We don't have a lot of boss women on here, but I feel like Tasha Skousen deserves to be on here as well. She is super sweetheart. She serial entrepreneur, speaker, owner of Olive Cleaning Company, and she is just awesome. And I'm super excited to have her on. So welcome to the show, Tosh. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you doing, Travis?
I love podcasts. So I love to have the conversations, and I know we're still getting to know each other a little bit more. So I'm excited to hear a little bit more about your story as far as everything goes. So yeah, fill in the gaps with that intro.
Well, as you mentioned, I'm Tasha Skousen. I am a serial entrepreneur, currently own Olive Cleaning Co. Love public speaking, do a lot of business coaching, and really just trying to elevate everyone as we go. I think the whole purpose of every day is to leave somebody better than you found them. That happens with my business. That happens as an individual, and hopefully I'm being a good example to my kiddos and everything. But I'm really excited to be here, and I'm excited to speak a little bit and get to know each other and share with you anything you want to know.
Yeah, Tasha's speaking at the Mastermind coming up in Arizona, April 14th through the 17th. So excited to have you there. So how did you get into cleaning? Like what spawned that idea as far as everything goes?
Well, it certainly wasn't a dream of mine as a little girl to own a cleaning business by
Yeah,
any
right.
means. Funny, in fact, because it kind of fell into my lap. I think some of the best opportunities, we stumble across them, and it's up to us what we do with those opportunities. At the time, my now ex-husband, he had lost his job, and we were trying to figure out how to make ends meet. And his sister actually came to me and she said, "Hey, I need somebody to clean my apartment. Do you know anybody?" And I was like, "I'll do it." I was going to school and was a stay-at-home mom for many, many years, and was trying to figure out how I could step in and really help out. And so I went and I cleaned her apartment and made a good amount of money and was able to feed my kids that week. And I said, we might be onto something here. And went on Facebook, saw another job, grabbed it, got it. And I came home and I started thinking of names for the company and came up with a name, created an LLC, started a website, and just started rocking and rolling. And before I knew it, within a month, I was working 17-hour days and all of our bills were paid. My kids had everything they needed. I was exhausted,
I
but
bet. Well,
we did what we
17-hour
had to do.
days.
Oh, they were some long days.
Dang.
Yes. And then before I knew it, we were at 75 homes a week, and we had built a team, and, we were just crushing it out there. And then
So,
COVID kind of hit. And
yeah.
so we changed gears a little bit and really geared towards commercial and those businesses that stayed open.
Yeah, I want to talk about that for a second, but I want to talk about something before we do. When was that moment where you started to actually scale and bring on team members, and what were some of the hurdles that you went through the process? Because I don't know about you, I didn't grow up with entrepreneur parents. Were your parents entrepreneurs?
No, not at all.
I think it really is such a huge advantage to have entrepreneur parents. Like I look at a lot of people and especially when I'm coaching people, that's one of the first questions I always ask them.
Yeah.
What did your parents do?
Well, so I had a single mom for most of my life. And then around 15, she just stopped coming home. And so it was me against the world taking care of my sister. And so from a very young age, I had to figure out how to make things work and how to keep those lights on. Um, but yeah, I didn't have entrepreneur parents. I'm definitely trying to be a good entrepreneur parent for my son. It was a fun experience. We just went out the other day and he wanted to go to the movies and he asked me for money. And I said, I'm not going to give you money, but you can earn it. And so I told him, I'm going to go clean some windows. I had a vendor not show up. So I'm going to be out there at 4:30 a.m. You be out ready to go at 4 a.m. That kid was up and ready to go.
There you go.
He did it, paid him 25 bucks. And I said, hey, I am so proud of you. And I just want you to know, I paid you 25 bucks, but I made 175. And he said, well, I'm the ladder. Why wouldn't you pay me that? And I said, well, because you're the employee and I'm the business owner.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I'm sure you've read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Have you
Oh,
read?
yeah.
Yeah, and he talks about that concept too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my son's 3.5, and his little basketball like broke, and he's like, I want another basketball, and he's been saving money in his piggy bank, and he probably has nowhere near the amount of money he would need to buy a basketball hoop. But in my mind, I was like, I want him to start understanding the concept of money.
Yeah.
And so we're going to take his piggy bank and take the money and go buy a basketball hoop.
I love
Right.
it.
Right. But when he's 10, I'm not going to do any of that shit. I'm not going to fill in the gaps. Like I'm going to do exactly what you just did. I made more money than you did. So, and
Yep.
I think that's important to teach him. How many kids do you have?
I have five.
5 kids. Wow. What's their ages?
16, 14, 13, 16, almost 15, almost 14, almost 13, and six. So,
Wow. You got
yeah.
a nice little straight line going there right into
Yes.
high school. How is
Yes.
that? I know this is kind of off topic. How is that running a business at, I mean, because you have employees, right? And then you have kids. How do you balance everything together between those two?
Well, time management's important, and I'm not going to say I'm an expert at it. A lot of times, sometimes we're putting out fires as business owners. But I think what's important is we do this group meeting where we talk about our goals, what we want to accomplish for the week, what we need to happen, and then I let them know my schedule. And they let me know their schedule and what their goals are, and we support each other. And it's got to be a balance. And so I think them understanding why mom's at work, why mom is getting up at 4 a.m., and why sometimes mom doesn't come home till late. It them understanding what the long-term goal is, there's more support, and we work together as a team. It's important.
I love that. Do you ever feel guilty for working too much and not being there with your kids?
I would lie if I said there weren't moments where, yeah, I felt guilty for having to miss something or not being able to be there. But I also know that I'm trying really hard to give him a life that I didn't have. And I'm also, I mean, even though I didn't have a parent that I live with past, 15 years old, I am trying to give them those experiences too, not where they don't live with me, but where they have to work for things. And so, I want them to have things that I didn't have, but I also want them to experience what it means to work hard and have to earn the things that they want and they need.
Ed, do you listen to Ed Milet at all?
I love Ed Milet. I actually used to sit down in his coaching room with him in 2004. Guy's amazing.
Oh wow,
Wife is
yeah.
the sweetest.
Yeah, he's just blown. I was able to go to a mastermind a couple of years ago, or 2 years or a year and a half ago, and I had a 40-minute conversation with him. That
Yeah.
was super awesome.
He's so humble. He's good man.
Yeah, he is. He is absolutely humble, and I love everything. I love his intensity. I love his. He inspires me as a dad and as a man in so many levels. But there's one thing that he said. He said the the most common form of child abuse is a parent that doesn't have a dream that's telling their kids to have a dream.
Yeah.
And I love that
Yeah.
because you see that all the time. And to some level, my parents did that. They said, you can do big things, you can do epic things. Why I seen them just go to work in and out, grind. And there was a lot of things that I learned through that. So, not to say that I didn't have amazing parents, I had absolutely amazing parents. And I think the biggest thing that, if all I could ask from my parents, is the ultimate unconditional love I received. So I really can't complain. But I feel like the whole goal when we're starting to reflect back on our childhood is not looking at it from what we didn't get, but looking at it from what we did receive. Right.
Yeah.
Because just like you, I'm always, when is that line? When is that line where you need to work more versus you need to take time off? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
What is it for you, you think?
Well, I have a line where there's certain things I won't miss. I'm not going to miss a birthday, and I am not going to miss that music concert. I'm going to be at those things. And that's the joy of being a business owner, right? We do get some flexibility in what we're able to do and what we're going to miss. There are nights where I don't get to kiss them goodnight, but I do go in there and snuggle them up when I get home. But so there are trade-offs, Um, but I definitely know that they see the vision. And the ultimate goal here is to be able to create memories. So even though I am giving up, some of those snuggles at bedtime, I'm working hard to create memories with them that are going to be long lasting, things that they're going to remember.
Yeah, I love it. So jumping back to your business, during COVID, how did you respond during COVID? Like, what was your plan of action when everything hit the fan?
Yeah. So, I mean, we were primarily in homes. We're doing 75 homes a week. And then we started to see some of those numbers drop down. And so I looked at our business model and our business plan and decided that we were going to shake things up. We were going to stay ahead of this curve. And so we did transition over to primarily commercial. And we went after businesses that had to stay open. And our business skyrocketed because we changed our business model. You have to be adaptive. You have to learn to change with the times because everything is always going to change. And we have to learn to be adaptive in business.
Yeah, I've said this before on the podcast. So Charles Darwin, right, that is considered the father of evolution, right? He said the strongest don't survive. He said that's the myth. He says the ones that evolve the fastest to fit their environment are the ones that survive. And you see this in business
Yeah.
too. Like, we had a cleaner, and as soon as COVID hit, she told us she couldn't come clean anymore.
Yeah.
And we're
Now
like,
I put on my booties and put on a mask and got to it and clean those doctor's offices.
yeah. And I'm really thinking about her. I was like, if I'm her, I'm saying, hey, we're doing the special COVID cleaning. We'll come in your house. We'll make sure you're safe. She didn't pivot. She just allowed the situation to run her. And I feel like the businesses that got ran over, and some of them, it was just completely unfair where they forced them to shut down. Like, like a lot of gyms, me
Yeah.
and my friends were sneaking into one of my friends' private gyms to work out. Like, we were smuggling drugs or something like that, and no playing loud music, keep it on the down low. So I don't want to speak about behalf on everyone. It was really unfortunate,
It would.
but I felt like a lot of people didn't pivot. They just allowed it to put them in the ground.
And I just think that should be like on a big, wall pivot.
It's true.
That's life. We have to learn to pivot and we're supposed to have these obstacles, especially as business owners, personal, whatever it is, we're going to have these obstacles. And if we don't learn to pivot, we're just going to get knocked down. So life is all about pivoting. I think I'm gonna have to put up on the wall somewhere.
No, that's a good one. It really is. And I mean, if you look at just how we do business, and let's even just highlight the last decade, like the last decade of human history, how much business and marketing and the way we transact has completely flipped around. I
Yeah.
mean, imagine explaining Bitcoin to people 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Imagine explaining that concept. We're barely grasping it today, let alone even 100 years ago. So it's just crazy how fast, and it's stressful to adapt to those things, but you do have to adapt. What do you think's the secret to adapting and pivoting?
Well, a desire for growth, right? There's this awesome, and it's silly where I find inspiration from sometimes, but I was reading Alice in Wonderland to my kids, and there's that point where the Cheshire, or where Alice comes to the fork in the road, and she sees the Cheshire cat, and she says, "Which way should I go?" And he says, "Well, where do you want to end up?" And she says, "Well, it doesn't really matter." And he says, "Well, then it doesn't matter which way you go." So I think that if we don't know where we want to end up, then when that point comes that we're supposed to pivot, we won't know which way to go. But if we've already set and we have an established goal and we have an end date for that goal, we make choices to make that happen. And pivoting is just a natural part of that process, I think, if you know what you're going for, what you're building, what you're doing.
Yeah, sometimes we don't know what we need to do in our business. We don't know. And when we're looking at what to do in the branding world, we call that what's your mission, right?
Yeah,
And when we don't know our mission, it's because we don't have a vision.
right.
So there's no mission without a vision. So it's being clear. So exactly what you said, that's a good example. Maybe that should be the name of the podcast.
I like
What
it.
what are some other takeaways from Alice in Wonderland that we could pull? Is it the newest one with Johnny Depp? Is that, or were you
I
just
was
reading it? Oh,
reading the book. Yep. Now the quote of "We're all mad here." I mean, that is us as business owners, right? Nobody understands the hustle. I am up at 4 a.m. every day. I am reading my 10 pages in my book. I am setting my intentions for the day, enjoying the quiet, and I will admit, drinking a good Red Bull in the morning. And so that's how I kind of start my day. And then I get moving. And um, yeah, we're all mad here. I mean, us as business owners.
there's this study that was done, and they say that the most successful entrepreneurs have a small amount of psycho in them,
Yeah,
psychopath in them. Have you ever heard this?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. And because psychopaths, they don't feel things like psychosociopath, like they have a disconnect to their emotions, right? And when you're executing in business and you're trying to go to the next level, and we're talking about like millions, right? Hundreds of thousands. And if you don't learn how to disconnect emotionally from every little single dollar, you're just not going to be able to make the moves needed in order to be successful.
Right.
Right. And so it really is like you have to be mad. You like not angry, but you have to be crazy to some
You
level
do.
to do that. Right. One of my
You
favorite
do.
quotes is Steve Jobs. Here's to the misfits, the rebels, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. You
Yep.
can glorify us, nullify us. I almost got the whole thing, but the one thing you can't do is ignore us because we change things. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that actually do.
Yeah.
And I
I love
love that. What what do you feel like's been the hardest thing you've had to work through in your business to go to the next level, whether it's emotionally or mentally? What was that hurdle for you?
So for me, my business is very heavily dependent upon other people, doing their job. So my employees, and I have some amazing employees. They really are family to me. For me, I care a lot. When somebody comes to work for me, I feel like they're joining a family. I feel like it's my responsibility to give them best work environment, best tools, and everything they need to succeed. Now, what they do with those things are their choices. And sometimes when I've seen them make choices that don't align with where I know they can be, that's hard for me. So I've learned, unfortunately, and very much so the hard way, that it's important to hire slow and fire fast. But that's been a hard process for me.
I think I was doing the opposite there for a little bit, hiring fast, firing slow, and
Oh, we all did.
then it turned to hiring slow and firing slow, and then slowly it came to hiring slow, firing fast, right?
Yeah.
And what's the mindset hurdle that you have to be able to overcome to get to that place? Because there's a double-edged sword with caring about your people as family, right? You care about them so much that sometimes you put up with shit that wouldn't be acceptable with any other type of business or job, but yet you're the one that puts up with it sometimes, or at least that's what I've noticed. So what is that secret to what you just said?
Well, I think that at a certain point, we have to allow everyone to take personal accountability for their decisions, right? Like I said, I give them everything I can in my toolbox to be successful with me. And I have to allow them to make their own choices and accept when they show me who they are and the choices that they make. So, personal accountability and allowing them to take that on and not feeling bad about it. I mean, of course, you wish certain things would work out differently sometimes because you see potential in people that they just don't see in themselves, but just allowing them to show you who they are and accepting it, been a
Yeah.
hurdle.
Cool. So now you do coaching. Tell us a little bit about your coaching and what you offer there.
So I meet with business owners and take a look at what they're doing, and we kind of break things down and figure out where they could improve. And, for me, I think a lot of it starts with mindset, show me what's going on, show me your struggles, and we'll backtrack it. Everything's starting at that end goal and backtracking it. And so it's kind of what I do with people. I also just absolutely love networking. So sometimes it is me working with a business and just getting them sales. So connections and helping them get out of their bubble and just focusing on a positive mindset.
I feel like that's your superpower in the little time that I've known you. You said something too that really influenced me the other day. You said, I don't end the day unless I have two or three meaningful conversations, three of them. So what led to that idea, and what advice would you give me, honestly, for someone to like incorporate something like that into my business?
I love it. So first, I mean, you have to think in your business, what are you offering? What problem are you solving for people? And then you have to really believe in that mission, that you're talking about, that vision. And for me, it's not always where I go out and I'm, trying to get business. One day, for example, I went out and there was a gentleman at QT and he said some nice things and we were chatting and he was getting a drink and I was getting a drink and we were walking to the counter and I just said, "Hey, will you put his drink on my tab?" And she said, "Yeah, no problem." So I bought it and I walked out and he chased me down. "Hey, hey, hey, that was so nice of you." And I was like, "Well, I just want you to have a great day." And so we started chatting. And now he's developing multiple apps for me.
Wow.
And we're partnering on some things. And sometimes the best connections just come out of good, genuine kindness. So it's not always where I'm going out trying to network and say, "Hey, this is my business, hire me." Sometimes it is just me being involved or wanting to just genuinely get to know someone. I think that's where the truest connections make. So when I say I don't come home until I've made three connections, if I leave that door, oh, I'm talking to three people. And I find something to do until I don't have those people to talk to anymore. And I never regret it. You
I
never
love it.
regret something good or getting to know someone.
Yeah, I love that message. I feel like we're so obsessed with like trying to reach people on social media. Here's the next tactic or thing to do. But what we fail to realize is that how many people do we walk by every day,
Yeah.
and how many opportunities do we miss to have real genuine connection with someone? And so every time I go to the gym, I force myself, I have to know at least one person's name by the time I leave here.
Yeah.
And if you're listening right now, I would also challenge you to do that, right? Make an effort. And maybe you're listening right now. Maybe you're just pinned up in your office all day. Like challenge yourself to get out there. And if you're not going to the gym, why are you not going to the gym? Why are you not being around people? Because those are where the best connections made. And I tell this to everyone. I said, I'll introduce you to anyone you want to introduced to. I know a lot of amazing people, but it's so much easier for me to introduce you to people and it actually go somewhere if it's in person.
Yeah.
Right. So that would be my advice. What how can people follow you, Tosh? Where are you most active on social media?
They can find me on Instagram at I am Tasha Skousen. And I'm on Facebook too, just under Tasha Skousen.
Okay. Skousen.
That's right.
Okay. Go follow her, check her out. I'm excited to have you speak at the mastermind coming up in a few weeks. So it'll be a good time. We'll be here before you even know it. So
Excited.
time just flies by, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
Got to make sure we're doing good things with that time.
There you go. If you feel like this podcast can benefit someone, guys, please share the podcast. You could actually copy the link and text it right over to someone. Obviously, it's free. Hopefully, you get a lot of value. So my only ask is share this message with someone that needs to hear what Tasha said here today. Be inspired in what you're doing. Be next gen. Your story can transform the world. Go out and do it. Good talk. Hey, you know you have a story to share with the world, which means you need to get on more life stages. We have a jam-packed schedule in 2024 full of events, including our biggest event year to date, Brand X. Go to benextgen.com/speak. Again, benextgen.com/speak. Or you could just click the link in the description. Fill out an application. Our team will reach out to you and show you how our speaker partnership works. Get on a stage, get video, blow up your brand, blow up your business. Let's go.